welcome to the Stamats Strategic Integrated Marketing Conference in Chicago. My name is Eric Sickler. I'm an Associate Vice President of Stamats, and it's my pleasure to be hosting this afternoon's live webcast and live presentation of something we call TeensTALK Live. TeensTALK is a study that actually we began at Stamats doing teens of years ago now to keep our finger on the pulse of what college-bound high school students expect, their likes, their dislikes, what they appreciate, the tipping points that push them toward one college and away from another. So all of our writers and designers and market researchers and consultants really lean on the TeensTALK findings every year when we conduct the study to keep us tuned in to the marketplace. But really there's nothing better than to hear it from, right from the horse's mouths, so to speak. So we've assembled today, by popular demand, a collection of high school students who are headed off to college next year from the Chicago area to make it convenient for them. But different than last year when we did our first TeensTALK Live, these students represent a variety of colleges and universities. Those of you who were with us last year and know about last year's presentation know that all of the students were headed to Drake University. And while that was a great experience, it really only gave us a glimpse of how well the Drake program functioned and the students who were drawn to Drake. But you'll hear today when we go around the room, these students are headed off to a variety of colleges, several in the Midwest, but we even have someone going off to Robert Morris, right? Yes, exactly, out in Pennsylvania. So we have someone going far away to school. We also have four-year privates, four-year publics, and community colleges represented on the group today. So the format is very simple, very casual, because we want to make this comfortable for you and certainly comfortable for our guests here. I'm going to ask them to respond to a number of questions. I'm an old admission guy, so I probably know what your old admission people on your old campuses are thinking too, so we'll go through that standard list of questions that they'd be interested in. But I also want to encourage you here today, and also those of you who are monitoring the webcast, to submit questions. And if you come up with something that you'd like to have me ask the panel, or you'd like to ask yourself, we'll make sure that we have time to do that. The session is scheduled for 90 minutes. I fully expect that people will be joining us, coming in late from lunch today, so we'll not make a big deal out of that sort of thing. But if you do have questions, jot them down, capture my attention, and I'll come over and pick them up. And the real focus, though, this afternoon really needs to be on the students here who made their minds up. They know where they're going to school next year, and we're delighted to have them. So please welcome them with a big round of applause. I'm going to start with my friend over here, and what I'd like to have each of you do is tell us your name, first name only, it's fine. We have a little bit of a delay here, I'll turn this down. But if you can tell me your first name, where you're going to high school, or you went to high school, I should say, because all of you graduated at this point, and then where you're going to college next year, that'll sort of set the stage for everything. So first name, high school, and college, university.
Hi everybody, my name's Austin. I went to Batavia High School, and I'm going to Drake University next year.
My name's Kate. I also went to Batavia High School, and I'm going to Bradley next year.
My name is Raphael. I went to Woodstock High School, and I have one more year at McCarran College and hoping to transfer to UIC.
My name is Becca Brayback. I went to Lamont High School, and I'm going to Clarkson University.
I'm Melissa. I went to Lamont High School, and I'm going to Robert Morris University in Pennsylvania.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I went to Stevenson High School, and I'm going to Illinois State.
I'm Laura. I went to Stevenson High School, and I'm going to Drake.
I'm Nicole. I went to Stevenson High School, and I'm going to University of Wisconsin-Madison.
I'm Bailey. I went to St. Charles North, and I'm going to Drake.
Hi, I'm Kavita. I also went to St. Charles North, and I'm going to Augustana College.
Morning, I'm Yesenia. I went to Whitney Young High School, and I'm going to U of I.
I'm Erin. I went to Hinsdale Central High School, and I'm also going to the University of Illinois.
Hi, my name is Shelby. I went to North Shore Country Day School, which is a small private school in Winnetka, and I'm going to Drake University in Des Moines.
Hi, I'm Katerina. I went to Nazareth Academy in LaGrange, and I'm going to University of Iowa.
Hi, I'm Megan. I also went to Nazareth Academy, and I'm also going to the University of Iowa.
Hello, my name is Tom. I went to Marist High School, and I'll be also going to University of Iowa.
Hi, my name is David, and I went to Jacobs High School in Algonquin, and I will be going to the University of Illinois at Champaign.
My name is Steven. I also went to Jacobs High School in Algonquin, and I'm going to Northwestern University next year.
Hello, my name is Caitlin. I went to Elgin Academy, and I'm going to Washington University in St. Louis next year.
Very good. So we got a good collection, good representation. I also want to introduce somebody else who's doing us a real service today, a real favor, and that's Seth Odell with Higher Ed Live in the back of the room. There's Seth. And you can see that Seth is broadcasting live this session on Higher Ed Live or higheredcom.live or /live, right? highered.com.
higheredlive.com/live.
Yes, higheredlive.com/live. Got it. So many thanks to Seth for being here today, and thanks also to Saber Fiala and Brandy on our staff who coordinated to make all this possible. I would be remiss if I didn't do that. I'm going to pop these up to full screen so you can actually see some of the detail of it. I'd like to know, and we're going to start on this side and then go around, when did you start thinking about college? How old were you when you started thinking about college, and what influenced your thinking at that early age, whenever it was? When did you start thinking about school?
All right, well, I am the oldest child in my family. So my parents and I started thinking about colleges together when I was a freshman in high school. So whenever we would take family trips, in order to just allow me to gather more information about college, we'd go on road trips all the time, and we'd stop at universities on the way. So I started early.
You know, it was kind of always a thing that was accepted that you were going to go to college, at least where I come from, but I really started thinking about it intensely around sophomore, like the summer of my sophomore year. I started really getting into it.
I'd say it even began before high school started. I mean, even the high school choice has a big factor in your admission to college, so probably right before high school started is when I started the process.
It all started for me, I'd say, beginning of junior year, with all the ACT tests coming up. I just started thinking about college and narrowing it down a little bit.
Well, I had my 2 schools picked out from like an early age because I had a lot of family that went there, and then I started seriously considering them at the beginning of junior year.
Yeah, I'd also agree with Megan. I actively started seeking out schools at the beginning of junior year.
I started looking at schools really when I was a freshman, but really started hunting for schools as a junior. I looked at campuses, nationwide as a junior, and really started depicting what I wanted in a campus and choosing attributes as a junior.
Yeah, I definitely started planning for college as a freshman, and then started, like Shelby said, hunting for colleges, probably spring break of sophomore year when I started to do visits.
College at our school was a big push. So freshman year, we already had a list of colleges we might be interested in. So freshman, sophomore year, I started thinking about majors that I might be interested in, and going into accounting, I looked at schools that had really good business programs, and junior year is when I started really looking at schools that I might be interested in going.
I guess I'm the same as everyone else. I kind of started mostly in sophomore and junior year where the ACT was coming up, and I kind of knew that I had to start moving. For me, freshman year wasn't so much of a big deal as I was trying to adjust to high school. So it was mostly sophomore and junior year, and then of course senior year as well.
I actually didn't start really looking until halfway through my junior year when I realized I had to be applying really soon. So I started picking out, the different attributes I liked and the places that just felt homey to me. So that's what I was looking for.
At our school, we have something called the College Career Center, and you start taking visits there your freshman year to just gather information. So I'd say that's probably when you started getting the general idea of college, but I didn't take my campus visits until the summer before my senior year. So that's really when it hit home that I need to get myself together and get everything going.
I'd say I probably started looking 8th grade freshman year because I have 2 older brothers who are looking colleges too, so I went on visits with them.
I also have an older brother, so I started, going on visits with him sophomore year, but I didn't really start caring until senior year.
I started getting offers to play volleyball during my junior year, so that's when I mainly started looking for colleges.
The same for me. I started looking junior year, and I was offered for volleyball too.
Same as everybody else, the end of sophomore year through junior year after all the testing was done.
I started sophomore year when I started getting mail, and I realized that I should be on the lookout for colleges, so late sophomore year.
College was there for me, but not until ACT came around when you had to bubble in the little letters that you wanted your score sent to, and I started realizing, I should probably pick, 1, 2, 3, 4 schools.
I think the takeaway here is that we like to think of prospective students as this homogenous mass of people who all make decisions at the same time, the same pace, the same way. And I think just this round of questions and answers really drives home the fact that these are all individuals who are working on their own timetables and for a variety of reasons are motivated to do this now and not later, or to do it later and not now. I hope you'll take that home from the conference. We can't think that one size fits all, because we've got 19 people up here with really 19 different timetables, more or less. So, how many of you applied only to four-year public schools? Only four-year public schools? Okay. How many of you only applied to four-year private schools? And who applied to only community colleges? And how many of you applied to a mix of school types? Okay. So I think that's really helpful to understand as well. Do you have friends who are still trying to make their minds up, or has pretty much everybody in your class decided where they're going to school? Anybody have friends who are still kind of undecided about college at this point? Yeah, you do? Does that surprise you? Or are they the kind of person who kind of puts that stuff on?
I guess it would have to be just not being sure what they want to do for the rest of their life. So they don't want to apply for something and ending up not liking it. So just deciding what they want to do, basically, to really apply for college and hopefully get accepted.
Okay, cool. All right, another show of hands. How many of you know exactly what you're going to study? You are 100% confident you've got a major chosen and that's where you're going to end up with your career. Raise them high. All right? How about who's going to go to school and your first task is going to be to sort of sort out your options. You're going in and decided you're going to look around and find something that feels good to you as well. Okay, super. And again, you know, kind of drives home the point that we may think we know exactly what we want to study, but we've got a cohort of students up here who recognize that college is sort of about finding their gifts and talents and everything. Let's talk about the college promotional process. You know, the kinds of stuff that you received in the mail, the messages that you received via email, the stuff that you received as part of the recruitment process, because a lot of these people are involved in developing and delivering that stuff to you. We had a little conversation before lunch, but what's sorry. Sorry. How many of you felt really inundated with so much mail you just kind of gave up on it and quit processing it after a while? Okay, all right. Anybody received multiple mailings of the same thing from a school? Yeah. Yeah. What does that in your mind say about a school? Anything in particular? Yeah.
I was really frustrated when I received the same thing from the same school, because I really felt like they were just processing me and they really weren't paying attention to what they were sending out, and that really was a discouraging factor for me to look at the school. So I didn't really like that at all.
Okay. Anybody else feel differently or?
I would say it almost made me dehumanized. Now that's an awful big term to say, but I felt like I wasn't being cared for necessarily. I felt like someone saw the statistics and said, this person hasn't gotten mailed enough, or this person needs our propaganda more, and just sent it off. They didn't say, well, maybe he's already seen it and doesn't like it or something. They didn't really take account into my opinions. They just took account that I didn't get it enough times.
Yeah.
Kind of made me think that the school was desperate, that they had to keep sending and sending so much stuff, but they didn't have enough people like active, maybe like not want to go almost, so they were desperate, they kept sending me stuff.
Okay, good, good.
The mail was fine, like the actual physical mail, but I saved pretty much all the college emails I got from my inbox. I have 2,400 college emails. So, if you're gonna say, I think mail seems like more important because then like an actual physical letter that says, you know, this is addressed to you. I think email is just some mass, mass email is what it is. You just check every single person that applies, every single person that is interested in you, and send it out. So.
Yeah. Did everybody have similar email experiences? Hundreds of emails? Yeah.
I'm actually still getting emails from colleges telling me good luck on the ACT next weekend, even though I'm enrolled at a university. So.
Let's keep talking about that stuff question. You know, of the stuff that schools did mail you, through the mail, postal mail stuff, did anything really stick? Did anything really capture your imagination? Yeah, let's bring it.
Well, I'd say if anything really sticks out, it's the stuff that's more personalized to the students, like a specific college or major or activity, not like those general ones that everyone gets, because that doesn't make the student feel special.
So what kind of personalized stuff did you get that really kind of...
Well, I got a lot of stuff from like the College of Business, which is what I'm going into, and when I went down there, I felt really good when I met like the deans and everything, and they really made me feel at home there. So.
Something that just stuck out to me especially when I was younger, about sophomore year, I would get letters from various colleges and universities, and it would have a link to go to their website, to take a survey, or to maybe even some fun game. It was just a way to get to know the university in a different way, which I thought was definitely a good idea. So it's not just loads and loads of mail. You're given a process, something fun to do. It definitely made the college or university I was researching stick in my mind.
Other stuff, go ahead.
I remember one piece of mail that I remember is there was these two hands holding the world in their hands, and it had my name across the world, and it just made me feel like really happy. I was like, wow, I was holding the world in my hands, and then I turned it over, and although there was a corny message, those really stick to you the most, and it was basically saying, you are not a number, you are a person, an individual, and we would love to have you at our college. And I was like, wow. And another one was when I went to a college fair, there was this lady from a university from Texas, and she was super, super nice, super psyched, and her energy was just so alive that I felt like she could be a sister to me. So next thing you know, like a week later, I received a personal letter from her that you could tell was totally handwritten, and she said, "Dear Samantha, thank you for coming to the college fair. It was nice meeting you." So just seeing that someone actually hand writes something to you, not just types it up, switches your name like every other person, was really nice.
How many of you did receive handwritten notes? Whole notes that were handwritten? That's kind of an old school approach, right? It's kind of retro. You don't get many of those anymore, right?
Well, just going back to the stuff thing really fast. The one thing that really stuck out for me that Augustana sent me was they actually sent me like a lookbook, which it showed the campus in so many different ways. And the other thing it showed is it showed the campus like during different seasons. Because when you go visit, generally you visit in the fall, and it looks beautiful in the fall. I mean, there's so many trees and they're all changing colors, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But then I feel like some colleges may gloss over the winter where it's cold and it doesn't look as pretty. But at the same time, if I'm going to that college and I'm going to be there for the entire year, I still need to know, maybe not that it's pretty in the winter, but maybe, there's a lot of sidewalks. So, maybe they're going to get icy or something like that. So I really felt like I really liked the lookbook that had maybe all the seasons, maybe, different people doing different activities rather than just the typical lawn picture or the trees with someone like laughing in the background. It's everywhere, So I really thought that was really, really important to me, just to see the college in different aspects. So.
Good. Other stuff, observations, things you got in the mail that really stuck with you?
Something I actually got in the mail was Drake actually sent me a Christmas card, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. Like, I didn't get that from any other school, and it just showed that they cared about you so much that they would be sending this out at Christmas to say, hey, hope you're doing well, checking in with you, have a good season. I just thought that was really amazing.
Who got the clouds? You first and then the cloud guy.
So about that personal thing, I got actually a few calls from a few of the universities, and that was actually pretty nice. But one university in particular called me 3 times, and they answered all my questions the first time, but after I called the second 2 times, it was like, did they really talk to me? Did they think that they talked to me already, or what were they thinking? So
they didn't really have a purpose for the call, just say, hey, you got any questions for us?
Yeah.
We hear that a lot.
I got a postcard that had my name in the sky, made of clouds. And it's still hanging in my room. I think it's pretty cool. It adds some nice atmosphere to my room. But besides that, I felt personalized with it. And even though it was computer generated, I felt like the university saw me.
Are you going to that school?
No.
When I said that I had interest in a certain school, they sent me an email, and they gave me an email of one of the students that was interested in the same field that I was, and I got to actually email her and talk to her, and she took the time out of her day to give me her experiences and explain to me what I'm getting into, and it was really nice that someone would go that
the schools I've applied to, instead of getting general mailings all the time, they sent a postcard with check boxes. So you would check what you wanted information on. So I'm going into the College of Engineering, so I check engineering. Then you could also do housing or intramural sports or club sports. So that was a good way to filter what all the publications that the school gave out and kind of personalize them to you, and also kind of edit the amount of mail that you would get.
From one of the schools that I applied to, they sent me a scarf. It was like a nice scarf too. And I mean, I guess like little gift things like that, it does like make you feel special. It kind of makes you feel like you're being bribed a little bit to go there. And I didn't end up going to that school, but I'm still gonna wear the scarf.
So, sort of a byproduct promotional angle there. Yeah. Other cool stuff that you got in the mail? Yeah.
It's not as personal, but like the stuff that I liked to open was the stuff that was really colorful. All the like plain white envelopes I usually just threw away. But, like I got one that was like a big bright blue envelope with like a green top, and you really want to open it. And I did. And I did end up applying to that school and going and checking it out, but it didn't end up working. But I still really like the envelope.
There's this school that I applied to. The other time before I was applying, and even when I was, when I sent the application in, the emails and letters that I would get were very generalized, not really specific to me, saying thank you for applying. You'll receive a notification on email or by mail pretty soon. But then when I got accepted, they sent this little card that was like embroidered, it came with confetti when I opened it, things like that. But that's what actually turned me away from it, because all this time they didn't have anything except for when, I got accepted, and they actually think I might be giving them money to go there.
Interesting. Yeah.
Something else Augustana did that I really liked was when I went to orientation in the summer, they actually put a table out and they put all the items that they sent home to us in the mail and that kind of thing, and they like planted a few big ones as well, just to make sure we weren't like just checking out everything. And they asked us what we remember getting, what we liked about it, which is kind of what this is again today. So I just thought that was really cool too, that they were doing it as well, and they were taking active part in finding out what we like, finding out what we would prefer rather than just, oh yeah, whatever. Like I like the input that we get as well. So I thought that was really cool.
Typically, on most college and university campuses in the recruitment office, there is a big recruitment piece, the lookbook or a view book or some book that's more substantial than the others. And it's got a lot of pictures in it, and it's got a lot of words in it. Y'all remember receiving those view books, kind of what we call them? These are the people responsible for putting those together, largely. Let's talk about those books specifically. And let's talk specifically about the pictures in those books. Any comments or observations you have to make about the pictures that you see from campus to campus, school to school, college to college, book after book? Yeah.
There's a certain institution in Florida that
they were told not to hammer on institutions. Didn't do a good job.
Keep the lawsuits at bay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a certain institution that had pictures of beautiful fountains and beautiful architecture and beautiful things. And when I got to the campus, frankly, I couldn't find the things that I saw. They were kind of hidden away, or not necessarily the star part of the campus. And what you really should highlight is the star part of the campus. What really kids are going to be walking through, or what I will be walking through that next year, as a student at the college. So if you're looking to make a book where you're really going, if that makes sense. I want to know where I'm going and see where I'm going fully, and then decide where to tour.
Yep.
I also, when I got like the lookbooks, I was really looking for students in different areas. Like I wanted to see the dorms, I wanted to see stuff you could do at the campus, because I really wanted like a recap of what actually the campus looked like and if I could live there for a while. And I, like we were saying, usually it's kind of a set-up scene, but I liked seeing the whole campus to be able to remember like what it looked like and everything.
What I really liked from one of the lookbooks was they took pictures of like kids' rooms and things from the actual school year. So it wasn't like set up like the school wanted us to see. It was kids' personalized rooms and what they did with it, and it was kind of nice to see like how everyone kind of changes their room, and instead of like what the university did, like generic things. So that was cool, I thought.
some of the lookbooks, there were a lot of pictures that were very, they looked very artistic. I mean, they were gorgeous pictures. If I was basing my decision on beauty, some of the lookbooks that I would never, the colleges I would have never considered would have definitely won in that category. But, when I was trying to make my decision, I wasn't looking for, some gorgeous picture of, the top of a building or a single statue. Like, I wanted to see, where do kids eat? Where do they hang out? Like, just sort of candids, not, who can take the most beautiful picture, because that's not what I was concerned with. I was concerned with the students and the real campus life.
To kind of follow up on Shelby's point, it's not like the specific details that I want to see or we want to see. It's really what got me were the bird's eye shots of the campus, because it gives you a sense of, the campus as a whole, the buildings, everything. I really like those a lot. So.
My favorite thing about the lookbooks is when I saw a picture that was completely unique to one school. Like, every school has a statue, every school has a pretty tree, every school has, an old maid. But the lookbooks that had things that are unique to a certain campus really made it so much more interesting, because you're like, I can get this at this school, but not at this school. So how does that weigh into my decision? So it was really important to see what each school could offer me that another one couldn't.
So unique in terms of facilities, or unique in terms of programs, or unique in terms of locations, or all of the above?
Really, like, all above. Like, unique in terms of what students can do and, like, what the students are, like, used to on campus, and unique activities and clubs, and, it doesn't matter about unique buildings, but unique things that you can't find at another school that the students can get at one school that they can't get at another. If that makes sense.
I think what should be universal is a campus map, something that shows, people where they're going, how to get around. So I think that's a huge part of, do I want to go to this school? Is this school all in one area, or is there some of the campuses in one section of the town, another campus in another section of the town, and how do I get to the local restaurants, or how am I going to get from class to class? I think that's a huge part.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone else is saying. Like, you want to see, like, how your actual life is going to be. Personally, I really like seeing the student section at the football games and some of the cards, just because that is something that I want to be a part of school spirit. It just looks like everyone's having so much fun, and like, that's something that people want to see, is that, it's all about the academic and, like, the pretty quads and stuff, but also, like, your actual student life.
I really like seeing the the outer city and, like, the surroundings, like, when you're outside of the classroom, like, those, like, the things to do and everything, like, besides just the school part.
Another thing that I looked for in the lookbooks was a list of majors. So, I mean, the pictures are important and you can see the aesthetic appeal of the campus, but a good sign usually is that they have the list of majors and how extensive the list of majors is at that school. So, especially if you're undecided, that's a really good quality to look for, is the extent to which the school offers many different paths. And so, it's also a good sign if the school is proud of their majors and lists them in the actual lookbook.
I completely agree with what she just said. One thing that I really enjoyed when I saw a lookbook was when it maybe had some statistics about maybe the campus size, because that was something that was really important to me. The majors was also really important to me. The distance, if there were local airports, things that aren't really known very well. Maybe hotels, good eating places, just things that would make me want to come visit the campus. I thought that was really important to me.
Good. Well, we talked about the photography, the imagery of these books. Let's talk about the copy, the editorial, the writing. I'm guessing that you probably got these things and looked at the pictures first and then read later. How many of you kind of approached those books that way? Look at the pictures first and then read it later. Did you actually hang on to those books from the schools that you're interested in? I mean, do you still have them? Or how many of you still have the books that were of interest to you? So you refer back to it later on in the process. When did you really focus heavily on the editorial part of this, the writing? Have you referred back to it frequently? Yeah.
Sorry, the first one to talk again. Well, on mine, it was, I had an ID card, basically, and a password that I needed to use to get onto the portal, basically, that allowed for me to check my status and allowed for me to look at things going on in Des Moines and several other things. And I really looked back at it and said, wow, this is cool, and then looked at the pictures, and then kind of moseyed my way over to the text, and all of a sudden I read the whole thing. And that was just, something I had to relate back to, I had to go back to, so I went and back to it.
Good, good. Other observations about the editorial pieces of these viewbooks, these lookbooks?
For the most part, I didn't read the big text, the chunks of paragraphs. I didn't read those. I looked at the titles, and I looked at the pictures, and that was about it.
How many of the rest of you would put yourself in that category? Okay, so pretty sizable chunk.
I think it depends on how serious you are about the school. I know we've kind of been talking about a lot of people look at the pictures first, and then if you're getting serious about the school, then you read. For me, the thing that was most helpful was either information that was pertinent to my specific college or major, and then quotes directly from students I also found really helpful. If you had student profiles in there from students from the College of Engineering or Arts and Sciences, that was the thing that I really wanted to read, because those were the students who had the intense scoop and who were actually going through or went through the same process that I did, and they would be able to tell me the information that would be actually the most relevant.
Others who like the profile thing, reading about students, seeing their pictures and hearing their stories. What comments here?
So my favorite thing about the lookbook is when, I think most of the time they're called like fast facts and like quick info, and it was just like number of students, number of undergrads, normal cost, average ACT score, because when I went to look for a college, I checked all those things first, and when I couldn't find it on like a college website, I would get really frustrated because like, how can I apply to a school if I don't know how many kids are there and what it's going to cost me? So when I got a lookbook that was, almost front and center on the very first page, I was like, this is perfect, this gives me everything I need to know. So that was an amazing part.
I remember one of my books was pretty diverse. A lot of the pictures had students from different backgrounds, and coming from a school where the ethnic different percentage is like 20, it's really equal. I was looking at the diversity in every school. So something I compared was, will I be a lonesome Latina, or are there going to be a lot of other diverse cultures that I can learn from? So taking into consideration, I was looking at the location and how I will be treated. Will I be treated as a number or as an individual?
We like to talk as marketers about giving prospective students the opportunity to see themselves at that school. So you were looking for that. You were really looking for yourself in those pictures. Yeah. How about the rest of you? Were you all? You got some athletes, right? You two are athletes. Anybody else going to school just sport it up?
I was not a sport, but I'm not doing that sport in college.
Okay, all right. So we've got two athletes. What were you looking for specifically when you were looking through the lookbooks? Anything in the words and pictures?
Mainly, I got emails from coaches, and that's when I would go to the website, not necessarily the lookbook. But on the email or on the website, if there's like a picture of a volleyball girl like on the athletics website, that's when I know like volleyball is a big part of the school, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be known. I wanted to be like walking down a street in school and someone would be like, how'd your game go yesterday? So that's what I knew I wanted.
I actually really like sports, so when I saw the lookbooks, I wanted to like see if they had like football, or my school doesn't have football, but it's Division I for hockey. So when my coach told me that I can go to big hockey games, I thought that was really cool.
Other observations about the editorial elements of the lookbooks, the e-books? I'm going to start using lookbook. I've never heard. Is that new to you? Lookbook, e-book? Let's talk briefly about email. What's the best email you got? What's the best email message that you got from anybody? And tell us why it was good.
I would say my favorite email was from Drake, the admissions counselor, and writes all of her emails, and it was very personalized. I knew it wasn't a chain email or anything. She remembered what we talked about, and I felt that was huge. I felt that was really, really personalized, and I really liked that because it still remembered who I was, and it wasn't just a number at all.
Good. Other good emails that you remember getting?
I remember one really cool email that I got was also from my admissions counselor from Augustana. And basically, she emailed me to let me know that my application decision she had sent it off in the mail, and she was really excited for me to receive it. And then, I got it. And then, actually, when I chose to go to Augustana, I emailed her and I let her know, and she sent me back the most wonderful email that made me cry. It was beautiful. And like, that was just the personal connection that I had with my admissions counselor was one of the things that made me really love the school that I'm going to. So I know that I'm going to be cared for, and the people actually care about me. So that was important.
How many of you had similar, or are having similar experiences with your admission counselor, your recruiter? You're pretty tight with her? Good. All right. Other comments about the reading?
Mine wasn't so much as an email, it's actually after I got into your grade, pardon me, I got a Facebook message from my admissions counselor, which I thought was super scary in the beginning, because I didn't want them to see my Facebook. But actually it helps a lot, because there are certain questions about orientation and certain questions about just Drake life in general that I really wanted to ask her and couldn't ask over the phone because I was too weird to call in, and I didn't want to. But I thought it'd be weird to email. It was just so easy with Facebook. I could chat, I could message, I could put it on her wall. You know, she was so accepting to whatever I wanted to put on her wall or ask her that I felt very open with her, and we have a good relationship now. So.
Yeah, it wasn't just what they sent us email-wise. It was like how quick they got back to us. Like it made us feel like we were important in like their scheme of work for the day. Like they made us feel like we were on the top of their list, and that was good.
I had two emails that really stuck in my mind. One of them was from a student I had met in a visit to USC, and I had asked her like a few general questions. Really wasn't expecting a huge email back. She wrote me a 3-page email, paragraph form with the questions I had asked her, and that really showed me that she was excited. First of all, was excited to be a student at USC, and was excited for the possibility of me being a student, and it really kind of connected me to the school, really made me feel like, I'm not just going to be a number here. And the same situation happened with a student at the University of Illinois as well.
I think once you're actually in or accepted, that's the school that you are accepted to is one of the schools that you could probably go to. I say the more informal, the better. The more casual conversation you can have with a person. Nothing that says like, that's titled and it's like, oh, business letter. I think something just says, hey Austin, how's it going? How's your summer been? What questions you got for me or things like that. I think that's a lot more important than sending out another generalized email.
When is it appropriate? You said that it first creeped you out to get a message on a Facebook account, right? When is it appropriate, as far as you guys are concerned, for a school to use Facebook or to text message you? Anybody get any text messages from schools? No? Would that be acceptable to you to get text messages, and when? How many of you would like to get text messages from the schools that you're going to? One? Two?
I have a quick question, to clarify that question. Is it the school I'm going to, or is it a school that's perspective looking at me?
Let's talk about perspective looking at you first.
I know I would not want to
I actually did get a text, and she texted me literally like every day. I got a text message from this lady every single day, and I did not like it at all. I responded, but I didn't like it.
Okay. So let's say you've made your decision, you know where you're going to school. Everybody's been notified, including the school you're going to. Is it then okay to text message you? How many would say yes, it's okay to text message me if I'm going? Okay, and how many would just say no, I don't want any school talking to me on my text? All right. Let's ask the same question for Facebook. When is it appropriate for schools to contact you on Facebook pages? Like before you're going, when you're still trying to make your mind up, you want to get Facebook messages from? No? How about after you've made your decision and you're going to the school? How many of you would appreciate Facebook messages from the schools you're going to for sure? Okay, a bit of a mixed bag, but a little more acceptable. Yes?
I feel like Facebook is more appropriate for students. If you're looking at a school, like you're down to your top 3 or something. And I had a really hard time trying to decide where I was going. I looked at some of the Facebook groups because I wanted to talk to students, not the admissions people, not people who were, trained to sell their product, sell the school. And I just wanted the real deal. So I used Facebook to talk to students and to see what they were like, what they were doing, that sort of thing. So the more informal Facebook thing, I would say reserve that for student to student rather than admissions to student.
I mean, I think Facebook and maybe text messages is a really good medium after, of course, you've been accepted. Because, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I check my Facebook at least 10 times a day. I check my email maybe once a week at tops. So if I'm trying to get in touch with me, the best thing to do is either to shoot me a text or to Facebook me. So I feel like if you really want to get in touch with someone, if you have, just want to, hey, how's it going, then I will respond better to text messages or to Facebook than to an email or maybe a phone call to my house phone. And the other thing with Facebook is, like, if maybe someone sent me a page request, then I can always deny it. That's the other thing as well, because I can always not answer. Like, it could just show up in my inbox and I can delete it as well. Like, we're not obligated to respond, so I think that's really important as well to consider.
Yeah, I feel like once a student shows the interest in the school, they want to hear what people have to say about it. Like talking about what you said about talking to a student on Facebook, I think that's acceptable. And yeah, once they show interest, it's okay to talk to them on Facebook.
I think what we discussed earlier is that it needs to be informal, essentially. They're sending me a friend request, so I expect them to be a friend. That means I want to have a rapport with them prior to getting a Facebook message saying, "Hi, I'm your admissions counselor. Nice to meet you." No, I want to have a talk with you. I want to get to know you, and then you can send me a friend request, and then maybe I'll think about it.
Alright, this guy over here was talking about how he got 2,400 emails. And I don't want that to happen to our Facebook accounts either. I don't think anyone does. So, yeah, if we just keep it student to student on Facebook, I think that'd be much better.
I would say if you're gonna call, I don't know however many people call a cell phone or call a home phone, but leave a message, because I know a lot of kids are gonna screen their calls and say, what is this area code I don't know, it's 512 or whatever it is that I never heard of. But if you're gonna call, leave a message so I at least know who you're calling, hear what you want to say, and then I'll call you back.
You mentioned that you got an ID card and an access code to get onto the portal at Drake, right? And you were able to check your admission status, your application status, and other stuff. How many of you got similar stuff from the schools you're going to? You've got portal access. And is that important to you? And how often do you check that sort of thing?
When I was waiting to see if I got accepted or not, that was really, really important, because I'd be on, when it was getting close to the day, I'd be on, probably once a day. I mean, it was really a little bit obsessive because I wanted to know. But before, when I was getting my decision, that's when that was really important. After I got my decision, I didn't really see much need for the portal because I didn't need to track anything. I didn't need to see if I was missing anything. So it was more the beginning half of my process, I would say it was.
I would say actually it was more of my second half, because I got my identity thing for the portal access, and I really felt a part of the community then. I felt like I had been formally invited into their academic literal portal, and being a part of that was not only special to me, but it also felt like I was invited to the school and home at the school. And I had something similar at my high school, which is called Moodle. I don't know if you guys are familiar. But it was very similar, and I felt like I was making a good transition with college because it was so similar to what I had experienced in high school.
We can always circle back, but I want to keep walking through channels here. And another thing that this group is responsible for on their campus in large part is advertising. Think about the college and university advertising that you saw, where you saw it, which of it was good and which of it was not so good. What's the impact of a school advertising on your impression of that institution? Anybody want to take a stab at that? Yeah.
I have to say, I don't know why, but when you see a commercial for a college, it kind of makes you not, me personally, I didn't really like that at all. So, I don't know why they need to commercialize it, but mail, more personal things other than a commercial seems a lot better because it wasn't so broad, it went to every single person.
How many of you would fall into that camp? That really advertising really doesn't impress you? Raise those hands again so we can all see. important thing for these people to take back to their campuses. They spend a lot of money on advertising. Comment?
I thought the most effective thing was like when representatives of the school came to our school to talk to us, because it was like a physical example representation of the school, and I got to ask him questions, and he became one of like a really good like person to ask questions to during my whole application process. And like he was really nice all the time, and he emailed me, and he even took my application personally to like the admissions office and turned it in for me. So like that was a really great resource, and I definitely took advantage of that when it was given to me. So.
Going off what she said with that, a lot of schools did come out to our high school during our lunch periods or advisory periods, and sometimes we didn't even know they came. Like we have announcements over the intercom, and we can't always hear that. But I know at least 2 schools personally emailed us and told us that we're coming to your high school soon. Like look out for us on August or like whatever date they were coming. So we knew to go, and that really was really helpful actually.
You remember any schools putting ads in your high school newspaper saying that they were going to be on your campus? No? How many of you have high school newspapers still? Okay, good.
Something that I thought was really good was just like t-shirts that kids wear on school. Because like maybe I'd see a U of I t-shirt and that would kind of make me think, oh, I can apply to U of I, or you know, Wisconsin-Madison t-shirt, or just something like that. So I could actually like think about it and be like, oh, that's got to be my radar as well. So it kind of put schools on my radar. It kind of made me think of schools, and like if there's maybe a smaller school that I didn't really think of and I saw a t-shirt, you know, I'd be like, oh, there's that school I should look at as well. So it kind of made me kind of feel like there's some schools that maybe other people in my school went to that I should maybe look at as well.
To kind of add to what we've been talking about, you know, the big college meetings. Every year at my school, there's the District's 86 College Night, where a bunch of colleges come and, you know, put up a booth. I think they had a statistic last year, I think 80% of the kids from my high school went to that night. I mean, it's packed with kids, and I think that is the best way, especially for freshmen and sophomores, to get information about schools. You know, you can walk around and pick up stuff from schools from Texas to California to Oregon, Illinois, and I think that is a really great way for kids to kind of become familiar with the whole college process, and that's definitely what got me started and familiar with schools as well.
Okay.
Kind of going off that, like I thought that was really helpful too. That's actually where I found Drake for the first time. But at the same time, it's almost overwhelming because there are so many schools there, and your school can actually get lost in the process. So you need to. Drake stood out because the person there was very opening and welcoming, and he made sure people saw that he was there. But there were so many schools that I just walked by because it was a person standing silently at a board, and it was like, well, if you're not gonna come talk to me, I'm not gonna come talk to you.
Similarly, I also liked when admissions counselors came to me and advertised to me. You know, it felt more personal, and it also felt like I wasn't some generic commercial watcher. That being said, I also really liked billboards or things in where it is. I wanted to see that there was community outreach, or they were paying to show that their name was around the neighborhood. I didn't like so much seeing national televised events or even televised events at all saying, come to this school and learn Javas, or so on. I was not a fan of that.
I would say, I think everybody agrees with me, but the hardest part of going to college is starting to look for the college they want to go to. There's so many, and I just stuck with the only way for me to narrow it down was sticking it at least within the Midwest. That's the only thing I knew to start out with, but obviously that doesn't really narrow it down. But I think the one thing that sticks with people is in person, like everybody was saying. Just be in person, or at least at the very least a phone call, like something that I can hear what you're saying. I don't just see like this general email like you said before. Anything in person actually sticks in somebody's head.
Going back to the booths, the ones that I remember the most were not the ones that looked more business-like, but the ones that were student-oriented. The ones that had color, the ones that had energy. I remember some booths also had students, not only advisors, but they had 2 to 3 students, and those would be the first persons I would go up to ask questions. How do you like the school? You know, what do you do? What is there to do at your school? And then I would go to the advisor to ask specific questions towards my major. But if the booth looked dead, no offense to whatever booth that was, but if they looked like they had only papers stacked on the table, the person was sitting down, not making eye contact, I wouldn't be interested in that school, and that would take me away from it. But if the booth was alive and it had actual people, not just sitting down, but standing around and going up to you, instead of having you go up to them, that made me feel so much more welcome.
I think something else that is really important is like the demeanor of the person who's selling the booth. For example, one school really turned me off because the counselor or whoever it was who was running the booth was just so rude to me. Like I went up and was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. You know, I'm interested in your school." And he's like, "Oh, great. Here's a paper." And I was like, "Oh, you know, like what now?" You know, and so like I was just really turned off to that school after that, and I ended up not applying because of my experience with that one guy. And while it's a really great school, it kind of just turned me off in general. So I really feel like the demeanor of the people and maybe the excitement, maybe just not the, oh, there's a paper, you can take it and move on. You know, maybe something like that is just really important.
Who were other tipping point people who influenced your decision? Other people who were, yeah.
I went on a lot of college visits, and a college visit is always an info session with an academic counselor and then a tour with a tour guide. And the one person that affected how I thought of the college more than anyone was the tour guide. And I know it's just a student that they're, paying probably minimum wage to guide kids around, but more than anything, I looked up to that tour guide. He represented that college in my mind, and that's what sold me for this summer.
I would agree. I would say the admissions counselor, and then went to an overnight, and my host student that I stayed with was probably my second most influential decision there, because he was a student that went there. He was going to be a sophomore, so he just became a freshman, so he obviously is new, just like I was, just like I am, and he loved it. He said all the reasons he loved it. It wasn't like a selling, like he wasn't trying to sell the school. He was just saying, reasons he liked it. Some reasons, he was afraid of not, why he didn't want to go there, or afraid of, certain aspects of the school, but how he got over that. That's really changed my decision.
What really drew me in was at Iowa. There was an engineering day, like open house for just engineering kids, and they had like a panel of like 20 kids who were actually in the program, who had gone through like all the 4 years, and like they're freshmen and sophomores too. So they really told me like how the experience was, and for an hour we got to talk to just the students, and like we really got to see what it was actually like there, and like the real aspect of the college.
We had something similar to that at U of I, Illinois, and it was a business meet the deans day, where we met like all 5 of our business deans, and we also had a whole bunch of current students there that we were able to ask questions to. That was really helpful because we came with like our parents, and I know Steve and I went together and we got to ask a lot of questions, and it was really good to get their perspective, and it was really like a candid opinion from the students.
I would say 3 people really influenced me. The tour guide, which was, if they weren't a good tour guide, then school's just gone. Like, if you can describe a good school to me and describe what good parts of the school are out there, then I will most certainly listen. That being said, I've also had tour guides who focus on how to walk backwards the whole time, and it's not so interesting. I also had the president of Drake come out to one of our visitation meetings, and he just kept on saying how much fun it is here and how much academically invested everyone is, and that was my mantra, really. And seeing that was awesome. Seeing that in a president who was leading the whole institution was awesome. I saw that and I said, this is my school. I also would credit my admissions counselor for a large part of it, because she was just so awesome and helped me so much and made me feel so much at home.
And her name is?
Liliana Bernstein.
I also went to the same thing that David went to. The coolest thing about that was that it was the actual deans of the university that were walking around table to table, introducing themselves to the students, having conversations with us even, and it made us feel really special that we were talking to these really important people, and they were, hammering out, selling us the school and everything. That made that particular university stick out highly in my mind.
To kind of go back to the whole tour guide thing, I was going on a recruiting trip to a school for golf, and I was going to stay overnight. And during that trip, none of the girls on the team ever told me that they liked being at the school. No one ever told me that they wanted me to come and that I
Augustana as well. So she wanted me to go to Augie so badly. She like basically sabotaged all my applications and like she really wanted me to go there. So I was like worried about telling her I wasn't going, so that was kind of a big factor. But the second was actually my admissions counselor. I'm planning on doing pre-medicine, and I was kind of really worried about it. I know it's really tough. I was worried about maybe not having a couple classes that I hadn't been able to take in high school. So I mentioned these queries I had to my admissions counselor, and she actually contacted the pre-med advisor, Augustana. He wrote me a 4-page letter explaining exactly what I had to do, what I needed to do to get, you know, my pre-med degree, and to all the classes I had to take. And then he just like wrote me this letter, told me to get in touch with him anytime I needed it. And then on top of that, she also contacted her father, who is like the pre-med guy at Northwestern, and he also did the same thing for me. He let me know exactly what I needed to do. You know, all three of them assured me that, you know, I would be fine. If I had any questions, I should definitely come in contact with them. And the personal things that you get from colleges really make it or break it for you. So I really felt amazing with my admissions counselor, and she was one of the main reasons I chose to go to Augustana.
I would say my main tipping point with people-wise, it was a college visit, and it wasn't even my admissions counselor, it was just someone higher up, and we sat in a room, just me and her, and she said, you know, no more formal, just ask me any questions you really want to ask, you know, the real questions that people actually want to know. And I rattled them off, and she answered truthfully, and she didn't, you know, it wasn't all positive, you know, she gave me the truth, and it was nice to actually be able to ask questions that weren't just, you know, like, are there teaching assistants, you know, it was just nice to be able to actually get a feel for, like, what students actually want to know, and that was great, because I got great answers, and that's how I decided I wanted to go there.
Good. How important were your parents and other family members in your final decision?
I would say my dad is in education. He's been he's first recruiting, and then he is a regional director of admissions now, so he helps out the people who recruit. And so he knows what it's like for what the challenges students have to pick different schools. Like I said before, I have so many options. I just had to narrow it down to at least the Midwest. But they really, for me, didn't have much to play in my decision. They said, here's a school you can visit, you want to go there. Here's a school you can visit, you want to go there. I mean, Drake is one of the schools that my dad suggested, but he didn't go there. He wasn't trying to push it. He just said, it's out in Iowa, you want to go check it out. So it's okay.
Other parental and family involvement?
My parents basically did the same thing. They're like, we're just going to support you. Whatever decision you make, it's your future. This is going to direct the entire rest of your life. So you need to be happy where you're going. So they just supported me in my decisions. They said, you know, you want to go on a college visit, we'll go on a college visit. They, you know, anything I needed, they were just there for me. So in the end, I wanted to go somewhere that would make them proud, but just having them there for me was their role in my college process.
Yeah, I mean, my parents really started me off and got me really motivated with the whole thing and going and doing the campus visits and like seeking out applications and everything. But as far as the final decision goes, they really left that one up to me, and that meant a lot that we got to pick the final school.
My parents really took a backseat to my college process. You know, my college admission people at high school said, oh, it's a process that you need to go on, and it's basically an adventure. It sounded to me like almost like Frodo finding, you know, bringing the ring to Mordor. I mean, that sounded crazy to me, like going to find a college, that sounds madness. You know, they helped me as a resource, as a tool, really. I utilized them in a way that I could, you know, find the college I wanted and then say, this is where I want to look at, or et cetera, and they would say, okay, let's go there. You know, they said, you dictate the pace, and you dictate where you want to go, and then they will, you know, support me.
I think all parents say, you know, we want what will make you happy, and you can make whatever choice you want, but all of us, I think, deep down, know that deep down, our parents want us to go to a specific place. And at least for me, that weighed a lot on me, even though, our priorities matched up, and so it ended up helping me, but for a lot of kids, it goes the other way, and parents play a huge role.
Unfortunately, my dad was not as giving as a lot of parents, and his reasons were mostly because of money and also how they answered his
Being the oldest of 5, being in the college process was totally new. So on all the college visits that I had gone to with my parents, the ones that stood out the most were the ones that not that bought me, but that bought them. Because parents, of course, are going to end up helping us. They're going to be the ones that are going to get our loans, going to help us pay for college and do all that kind of stuff. So the ones that really were more oriented to both of us, as in students and parents, helped a lot. I remember some schools, they didn't even have parent panels, and some of the schools that I applied to, that I visited, all of them were parents and student oriented. Because my parents on the ride home, they were like, "Oh, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that?" "Yes, I did." "Oh, do you know about this? Do you know about that?" Yes, they did. So when they were happy, I saw that if I had chose to go to that college, they would be happy with my choice. So see that my parents will not only love, but welcome to the school whenever they want, that made me feel safe that they could be here anytime they want.
Something that was important to my family as well was also finances. There was a certain school that I was applying to that was $60,000 a year, which is quite pricey. And it was just so gratifying to see my parents, they weren't like, "No, you can't apply there, no, you can't go there." They took the time, they tried to figure out if, I got in, if I was going to go there, how they would sort out the money, and they didn't just shut it down and say, "No, it's too expensive." And that was really gratifying for me because it was not only expensive, but it was also in a different location of the country, and they didn't really want me to leave the Midwest, but they kind of let me explore my own boundaries and kind of started towards the end playing the devil's advocate and trying to kind of make sure I was happy and certain about where I was going rather than just going somewhere just to go there. So I was very, very happy with them and how they helped me.
Yeah, I think the parents play the biggest role in the beginning, where they narrowing it down to 5 schools. That's where I worked with my parents the most. And then once it got to there, it was really up to me. And another thing I really liked was at certain schools they would divide up the students and the parents. So the parents could get the information they wanted, and the students could get the information they wanted to hear. So I think that made it work better with dividing it up.
Yes, I also agree with that. When I went to orientation about 2 weeks ago, they divided the students and the parents up. And so my mom was on her own for a full day, and she really got the most out of it. On the car ride home, she just could not stop talking about everything that was going on. She said that there was different seminars she got to go to, and she learned a lot about the school. And even back when we visited back in March, I think, she was just so sold on the school, and then that made me feel so much better about going there, because if your parents are happy, you're going to be more happy.
My kids will be the first one to go to university. So basically, my parents for me, they're all whatever school I want to. I go basically college visit on my own or with friends. And if I have any other questions, I ask a teacher, advisor, or whatnot. And then just basically have the support there. And then I looked at all the numbers it would be, and then basically McCarran County College, it's close by, it's affordable, really affordable. So basically, decided to go there for the first 2 years, then transfer out, which would save me a lot of money. And I met a lot of cool people there, got involved, and it's helped me a lot.
Let me ask you a question about that, because I think that's an important. How many of you considered a community college? Not necessarily applied to it, but gave it some thought. I might think about going to a community college. Any particular reason why? Were you more interested in getting out of town, away from home? Yes.
Well, I know at least for me, ever since I was about 7th grade, my dream was to go to California or the East Coast. I wanted nowhere to be close to home. I did not want to stay home at all. But my mom made me apply to one school in the city, so I just had to make her happy. But no, I always knew I wanted to go far away from home.
Basically, I did want to go away just to get the whole college experience and be like, oh, it's so good, you're away from home and whatnot. But then looking at it, I'm glad I stayed back, just save a lot more money, met a lot of cool people that could now help me out, the process of transferring out.
My thing with community college is I knew someone who went to community college and then transferred to a four-year college, and most of his credits didn't transfer. And I was just really worried about that happening to me and me having to take another year or maybe as a junior start as a sophomore standing. So I was just really turned off by community college by that. But I definitely consider taking classes over the summer. So
One of the things that this group is responsible for is coming up with creative, engaging concepts to capture your imagination and capture your attention. So you've seen, the logos, the slogans, and the taglines and the mottos. Start here, go far. Pride, honor, excellence, quality of tradition, tradition of quality. Do any of those sort of catchphrases and slogans? Do you remember any of those? Like, think of the school you're going to. What is their creative theme? Yeah, remember?
Well, at least for the engineering, it was like being an engineering student and something more. So it's showing that it's not just about school. Like, we want an experience too, like outside of the classroom, and to be involved in more than just the classroom. And I like that.
Cool. Others? Yeah.
I'm going to Illinois State, and when I went down for, I don't know if it was a visit or orientation, but the business school had shirts that said "State Your Business," like Illinois State. I'm not in the business school, but I really wanted a shirt. I'm in education, I really wanted "State Your Education" or something catchy, but they didn't have one. But I really wanted one. I liked that. It wasn't just stupid about tradition or something stupid that I didn't care about it.
I don't exactly know Drake's specific ones. They have the whole, on a lot of the letters, things like the D+, Drake plus this, Drake plus that, and Drake plus you study abroad, or Drake plus our community, or Drake plus this, and that was the heading for some of the more specific captions, more specific paragraphs that you read in the lookbook or things like that. And that stood out to me because it's not just a school, you said over here, it's outside of school, it's a community, establishing long, lasting relationships with your school and people around it.
Also with Drake, they always put the bulldog as their mascot. They have the beautiful bulldog pageant, and they always put the winner of that on the postcards, and I love dogs. So that really caught my attention because they had the dog dressed up in cheerleader outfits and then with a little crown on, and that really caught my attention because I love dogs. So
there you go.
Yeah.
It connected with you. Yeah. Here.
Going along with the Drake theme, back to the D+. The first time I got it, it was D+ and proud of it. And I literally thought that was the most hysterical thing. I showed my mom and we laughed for probably about 5 solid minutes. And that was one of the things that really got me interested in Drake, because I was like, this school can, make fun of itself. It doesn't take things too seriously. I just thought it was so cool that they're like, yeah, we know D+ is not usually that good, but hey, go us, we're proud of it.
I have several bloggers I'd like you to meet. Other observations, yeah.
I'll just go back to what you said about the bulldog. I think pride is a huge thing. They take pride in their mascot of their school, and that's the center thing on their postcards or on the letters. I think that's a big influential decision or influence in, I guess, just paying attention to the school.
Good.
I don't think the mantra rang so much in my head, but more of the item, essentially, that really characterized the university. At Drake, it was really the bulldog, and when I toured campus, I saw everyone wearing bulldogs, and I just said, oh wow, that's the campus, that's the pride, that's what they're all about. And it wasn't so much like a message, or a savvy little sentence. It was more the idea that that was what Drake was characterized, and then the president really spoke to us in saying, this is what our mission is, and what we hope that you will achieve. And I as a prospective student, really saw that as, this is what they're about, and this is how you recognize them, instead of, this is just a commercial.
Yeah.
Something that really stood out for me, it wasn't really a catchphrase or a slogan, but for Augustana, they have the capital A, and they just have it everywhere. And I remember in the lookbooks, you'd always see students, and they'd have this giant wooden A, and they'd be carrying it under their arm, or they'd be doing something else with it, and I just felt like I saw it everywhere, and that really made me feel like the campus was really proud of being, a Viking. It's kind of hard to wander around wearing Viking hats, but I really felt like the A kind of made the campus come together. It really felt like, we were Augustana. We were just not just, a collection of loose places in the Quad Cities. We were Augustana College, and I really liked that. I thought it was really cool. And when I was visiting campus, I actually saw a couple kids wandering around with it, and my sister's like, oh yeah, they're probably doing something with it, but you never know. The A gets around.
One of our attendees is considering a new concept. concept is if you walk past a college fair table or you got a brochure in the mail that said, jump into the deep end project, or ask me about the deep end project, how would that strike you?
I would be wondering if they were big in swimming.
Okay, anybody else? Knee-jerk observations, the deep end project, what would that make you?
I'd kind of be concerned because I don't want to be jumping into the deep end, I want to be transitioning into the deep end. I like to pace myself into the pool, I don't like to jump.
Other observations about this concept, deep end project? Knee-jerk reactions, gut reactions. Yeah.
I don't know if this applies to everyone, but to me that seems like pretty negative connotation. So I would probably at first I get a negative vibe until we start talking about it.
Okay.
I just want to know what it is, and I want to know what would it look like if it's like on a board? Is it just like big black letters on a whiteboard, jump into the deep end? Like what is it? Like your picture, what's people, what are they doing? What does it relate to?
Yeah. One more.
Kind of for people like Shelby, I guess you could kind of take that and go to like get your feet wet or something, to kind of use the same water analogy. But I think, you know, a big thing is want to be thought-provoking, especially in the beginning stages, so anything thought-provoking is usually a good thing, so I think it's a good idea.
Good. I want to do one round of the most bizarre, weird, stupid, horrific thing that happened to you during the recruitment process, just to share. You get to start.
Alright, so I had a campus overnight visit at a university in the Midwest, and it was on the top of my list at this point. I had a scholarship offer from other schools, but this was my top school, and I go into this overnight visit, and I meet my overnight counselor, host student. I met the host student, and he was a really nice guy, really energetic. And he took me to a lot of his activities, and one of the activities was Glee Club. And I didn't really know what Glee Club was all about, and I mean, the guys were getting really into it, and he just had me sit down there. So I had to sit there for an hour without anything to do, and it wasn't exactly a good experience, but it was definitely a side of campus that I never knew existed. So then after that, I was like, all right, it's all right. So then I ended up going and meeting up with Steven, because he had a host too. And we ate dinner with a bunch of guys, and it was actually a lot of fun. But then about an hour later, he came back, and he took me back with him to the dorm, and I thought that the horror was over, but it was just beginning. And so we sit down on his couch, and I think we're gonna, like, I don't know, watch a sports game or something. It's Notre Dame. We sit down and we watch the TV show Glee. I'm like, come on. No, yeah, so at this point, this guy is kind of weirding me out, but I mean, it just kind of scared me that he didn't realize, like, what I was into. Like, after a whole day, spending a whole day with me, I thought he would understand what I like or my interests, and it kind of just put me off that he thought that I would enjoy watching that show. It was almost like, I told him I didn't want to watch it, but he's like, you gotta watch this, dude, it's really cool. I'm like, alright. So yeah, I sat there for an hour trying to fall asleep. But he didn't even let me fall asleep. He's like, oh no, here comes a good part. I was like, oh.
So a classic mismatch.
Yes.
Yes. So let that be a lesson to you all.
Nothing against Glee people, but just not for me. Not for me.
So you Glee people are okay.
Yeah.
Other horror stories or yeah.
The night before I visited Drake for the first time, I drove all the way up there and had a salad that was not so good, and I had food poisoning the night up, and was riding the big white bull. Which was nice. Not really. But the next morning, I was not feeling so good. I walked up, woke up, went to the Drake campus, and I couldn't help but smile. That's what really sold me about Drake, is that I saw it and immediately my mood turned around. And that's what really sold me on Drake. And I think any prospective student looking at a college, if your mood changes because of the campus or the livelihood or people around you or surrounding you or the whole Drake, or the whole campus institution as a whole is turning your mood up, into a good one, then you're at the right place.
Turning that frown upside down. And just to clarify, he did not get the salad at Drake. Just to clarify. Other experiences?
Yeah, I had a really bad double ear infection, and I was just miserable. And then I find out I gotta go to the open house at Iowa. This is gonna be terrible. Like, I wish I didn't want to get out of bed. But I ended up going anyways, the 4-hour drive, and I got there, and my mood kind of picked up, and I still liked it. And at the end of the day, I was like, I couldn't believe, like, I was feeling a little bit better, but just the fact that I still liked it, and I wasn't all that pain. I was like, this school must be pretty good then.
So the healing properties of a campus.
I guess so. I don't know what it was.
Very good, yeah.
It was one of my first visits down to U of I after I'd been admitted as a student. And I was pretty excited. It was a day that we got to meet the dean of the engineering college and then kind of talk to students and then get a presentation about the college. And I wake up and it is horrifically raining outside. And we checked the forecast for Champaign and it's the rain all day. So I was kind of dreading it, but when I got down there, it was just, you know, a great experience. And I think that's a really good sign if, even though the weather is horrible outside and the campus looks terribly ugly, that you can still, you know, see yourself there and see it as a good fit.
Yeah. Here.
I actually had like kind of the opposite. For a horror story, I went to a campus in Wisconsin and they were giving a presentation, and being from Illinois, you know, I wanted to know the difference between Wisconsin students and students from Illinois. And they had a really negative connotation towards like out-of-state students. Like they said, like the tuition would be more, which is, you know, which is going to happen. They also said like that students from Illinois like have a really hard time getting housing. They were actually like really turning students away from going there if you were from out of state. They had no positive things to say about it at all. And so my dad went, and we talked to them, and they still didn't really help at all. And I walked out of that visit like extremely unhappy because I felt completely like unfair because I was not from that state at all. And so that was really a bad experience.
Other horror stories or advice you could give these folks? Yeah.
I was applying to a bigger school, and I was getting towards the end of my college process, so I was trying to get all my scholarships and everything in order to see, because cost was going to be a big factor. I wanted to see, you know, how they were going to all compare to each other. And I was trying to log into my account, and it kept telling me, you know, system error, you're not authorized to view your own account. And I'm like, okay. So I called the like technical center, and they kept telling me it wasn't their fault, it wasn't their fault. They sent me over to like the admissions center, and the admissions center's like, oh no, that's not our fault, don't come talk to us. And they sent me back to the technical center, and then the technical center sent me somewhere in like China to try to figure it out. And then they sent me back to the admissions, and I actually never got to log in and view any of my information. I'm still waiting to see what scholarships I got from the school. You know, maybe they'll come eventually. But basically, they lost me. They told me I wasn't an admitted student anymore. I'm like, I have my acceptance letter in my room if you want me to prove it to you. So they lost me. Don't know what happened. Never found out. So I just kind of gave up on that school because I was like, you can't find me. This is not going to work very well.
Let me take some questions from the audience. Anybody have, yeah, hold on just a second. We're gonna talk to this.
First of all, I just have to say my daughter went to Augustana, my son went to Marist. You guys are doing a great job. How important was the websites that you guys visited? Did that have any influence whatsoever? Did the websites influence your decision in any way?
Yeah, I'd have to say that a website that was easy to navigate and easy to find the things that I wanted was really helpful, because that's where we are on, like, all of us are always on our computers, if you guys haven't really realized yet. I mean, that's where we spend all our time, and easily getting to their web pages and going around with that is definitely a turn on.
Yeah, most of the websites I viewed were pretty easy to navigate. One of the best websites, and it happened on a few of them, was when you go to a tab like academics, they have prospective students, undergraduate students, and graduate students. So you wouldn't accidentally find yourself on a page for graduate students and then looking for admissions there. You could go to prospective students, then they would have links for, you know, admissions, frequently asked questions, stuff like that. So definitely having a page tailored to those going through the application process is very helpful.
What I really liked was the websites that had a search box. So like, if you had a specific question, you could just search it, and it'd be right there for you. I really like that.
There are certain institutions that I had visited, and frankly, their online capabilities were not very good. And it would look more like a MySpace page in comparison to an actual website. And that really turned me off. I said, these guys don't look official, it doesn't look official at all. So I compared websites and said, this one looks professional, this one does not. I think that representing your university as it should be on the web or on the internet is very impressionable on us.
My favorite thing about the websites where you could like take a survey, not a survey, but a calculator to figure out how much financial aid you would get. So that way I had an idea of how much the college would cost me, so I could, start planning.
What are other favorite pages or sections of websites?
I actually don't really use my school's website. My mom uses it a lot. I actually really love looking at the Facebook, the page for it. It has pictures of the dorms, and there's like the university housing page, the page in general, the admissions page, and I always check that, and there's pages and pages of questions people ask. I can never think of my own questions, so I just look that up other people's and what they write back, and that's really helpful for me. I really like that.
Also, I really love the Facebook page that we have for class of 2015 for my college. They basically made a Facebook page for my class, and it's just everyone in my class, all the admitted students, and we all just talk about on it. We kind of get to know each other, and I just really like it because, like she said, if you have a question, you can just go there, and it's going to be somewhere on that page. I guarantee it. There's 700 kids on there. And then the other page, it's not really a college page, like a college website, but I found that College Board was really, really useful to me. They had a comparison between colleges, and when I was coming to those final days where, I kind of had to sort of start crunching numbers, trying to figure out which school is better for me, which one will make me happier, and which one has what I'm looking for, I found that was really helpful.
Let's take another question from the audience.
Sorry. I and a lot of the people here are responsible for marketing and advertising budgets, and I know a number of you said you don't like ads or you don't look at ads, but part of what marketers do is decide on which kind of personal campaigns are going out. One thing that I listened to with a little bit of amusement at the beginning is how much some of you really like these personalized things, but yet, they didn't really seem to make any difference in your decision making. It might be hanging on the wall in your bedroom because it's kind of interesting and unique, but it didn't really close the deal. So my question is, if you were a marketer with a limited budget, which things did you encounter that were most effective in actually making you make the decision?
Okay, well, I know all the people in here are generally in charge of, advertising and that sort of thing, so I'm probably your worst nightmare. I'm the student that probably frustrates you the most. I apologize. Because I don't look at the mail. I kept it because my mom's like, you should organize it. So, it's still sitting up in my room, in alphabetical order, but that didn't help. I deleted all my emails. I didn't look at them. Basically, I went completely on gut feeling. I would walk onto campus, I would meet a couple students, and I would either get a substantial gut feeling. Either this is the place for me and I'm going to look at it, or this is not. And there was never any really middle ground, which I guess I'm lucky, because that definitely, as soon as I entered a college campus, I knew whether or not it was on or off the list. So,
So put your money in the campus.
Yeah, the campus, make sure your people are good, because that is almost the only thing I looked at. Your tour guides, your admissions people, that's it. Male, female, it doesn't do it for me. So I didn't
How many of the rest of you kind of fall into that category? You lean more on sort of your gut and your feel, and the other stuff is just sort of incidental? Okay, back to the question though. If we have a marketing budget to invest, what was impressive to you? What's worth the money?
I'd say I'm with her about 99% of male or female that I got. I threw it out without even looking at it. If a student doesn't have a school on their radar, as a school, you're not going to put yourself on their radar. So I think it's better to focus on the students that already have you on their radar. But yeah, as far as the mail, I think most of us will agree with that.
For me, I felt like I had to be on their email address. If you weren't sending me stuff, then I wasn't on your radar, if that makes sense. It's a relationship between colleges to get in and to be a part of it. And for that relationship, I feel like, A, they should have a community outreach, and B, that I should be personally invited, if that makes sense. If you're trying to advertise a school to me, and that's school is going to have a relationship with me, then I should have a relationship with you. In that regard, I also believe that community outreach is also really, really imperative. If you, like, when I went to Des Moines and I saw in the airport that Drake had a big billboard, I was like, wow, this is the big part of Des Moines, it's Drake, you know, and that's what really is, you know, part of what sold me on Drake, is because it was so intertwined with Des Moines, and I really love that.
Over here.
I mean, I definitely agree that the mail does not seal the deal. It's not really important to me, but I do kind of look at it. And like, I got one that was for like some random small school in Michigan, and all like the whole advertisement was just pictures of it. And like me and my mom, we went and looked it up, and we're like, wow, this is really good. It could really work. And then we like later found out like, there was a huge problem with it that didn't work for me. But we did.
Let me ask the question: how do we get on your radar screen? I mean, you said we got to get on your radar screen, and mail is not the way to do it. So yeah, go ahead. How do we get on there?
I mean, a lot of it isn't even the college itself or your marketing team. It's like the people that are like the students that already go there, or your rapport at our school. When we talk as peers and students amongst each other, it's about how we talk about your school and how we perceive it per se. And
okay, so peer conversation, peer-to-peer support. Yeah.
Yeah. So, ma'am, with the whole money thing, I would say definitely put your money into the travel expenses or your admissions people. Get them to the school. That, I think, is the best, you know, I mean, you know, send your people out. So I would say instead of pouring money into billboards or, you know, mail, you know, colorful envelopes are probably way more expensive than white ones. So, I mean, save it for travel and for getting your people out to the school.
Other advice for getting on the radar screen? Yeah.
Well, for me, I was looking for a specific program in aerospace engineering because that was my major, and you know, not all schools have it. So it was more for me specifically looking for schools. So I used a variety of websites to find out information on that. I know what a lot of my friends used. I don't know if any of you have heard of collegeprowler.com. A lot of my friends use that as a way to narrow down their search, which is probably, it's not the best way to go about it, but I would definitely look at how your school is portrayed on that, because a lot of kids get their information from sites like College Prowler.
Other advice for getting on the radar screen, real quickly.
There are a lot of schools that I was considering applying to that I hadn't even heard of, but my high school admissions or guidance counselor, not admissions counselor, my guidance counselor was like, hey, you should really consider looking at this. We went on a website whose name I can't currently remember, but we went on a website and we like put in all the stuff that I was interested in, and it just like spit out a laundry list of colleges that I should look at. He gave me the list, and then I went from there, and that's pretty much what happened.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes left. I'm going to go around the horn here, and I want you to tell me in 10 seconds or less why you're going to the school you're going to. You get to start. 10 seconds or less, real fast.
My admissions counselor and the host kid that I went with, and then the size and the cost.
Okay.
Definitely the cost, distance from home, and the ability to see myself living on the campus.
Same as her, the cost, distance from home, being able to commute, take the train, if there are emergency or whatnot, you can just run home, don't have to wait for a plane or whatnot, just quicker.
I would have to say volleyball and the physical therapy program. I'm being recruited to play volleyball, and it helps with financial.
I spent a lot of time people watching, and I just really like the people watching.
My major, the surrounding city, and the people who I met there.
The distance from home and the overall vibe and atmosphere that I felt when I went to the campus.
The actual students that were going there and the sense of community you get just by walking on campus.
Personal attention for sure, cost, and then also location.
Talking to the admissions counselor and the welcoming feeling I had the second I stepped onto campus.
The University of Illinois has a phenomenal program in what I would like to study, so that was the biggest factor. I also received a scholarship, and I just love the feeling I get when I walk on campus.
Really the ability to make my frown turn upside down. That is really my marketing thing.
I'd say the distance from home, the location of the college and the city that it's in, and also the atmosphere of school, people that I've met, students, and the fact that it's a Big Ten school. I like big schools.
The cost, the location, and just the overall pride that everyone I met from the school has. Like, I couldn't go anywhere with wearing an Iowa shirt without hearing "Go Hawks," or I'm a Hawkeye, I bleed gold and black too. So it's like kind of accepted into a community I didn't know existed.
Yeah, I loved Iowa City, and it had a small engineering program which I liked, and I could just feel myself going there. I could just picture myself being in the school.
Yeah, the University of Illinois gave me a pretty good scholarship, and they have a good honors program, business-specific, a business honors program that really appealed to me.
Academics, help finding a job after you graduate, and proximity to Chicago.
I like that WashU is close to a city, St. Louis, and then also I love that it has an abundance of resources for its students, and I also spent 5 weeks in the summer program there taking classes, and so I really got to know the campus that way, and that pretty much was the deciding factor.
Well, I want to thank all of you very much. Thank you all for joining us, and thanks for hiring. There is one more session, and it's spectacular. It is the most spectacular session of the conference because it's being led by my friend and colleague, my spiritual advisor and guide, Chuck Reed. And are you upstairs or?